Well, so how's it going, everyone? This is Mike. This is my main channel, AdventurousMikey. So yeah. So previously, I did something on my second channel, which is called Game Hunter 22. I did something. So I'm basically gonna be doing the same thing, but this time on my main channel. So recently, I was watching stories. Yeah, I was watching YouTube videos, and I was listening to all these horror stories by this YouTuber. He goes by the name of Corpse Husband. Yeah. So, excuse me. Sorry. Um. Yeah. So I said the same thing on my second channel. So I'm gonna say it now again. So you guys probably have seen like the past live streams I did. Back when I was doing live stream playthroughs slash walkthroughs, and sometimes when I do like intermissions, for the live streams, sometimes I play like I play one of those horror stories by by Corpse Husband, and sometimes I'll even like react to it and give my opinion, my thoughts. Yeah, so basically this video is gonna be the same thing like I did on my second channel. The link will be in the description. Yeah, just listening to listen to Corpse Husband's stories on YouTube, and just like listen to it and give my thoughts and a reaction. So yeah, let's get right into it. Yeah, I guess I'm doing this because I'm bored and I don't have anything else better to do. I said this on my second channel as well. All right, let's get right into it.
Scary intro that changes the atmosphere into something spooky. I've never told this story to anyone other than my closest friends, but this felt like a good outlet to finally get it off of my chest. There's something called the 6 degrees of separation theory, which basically states that everyone in the world is separated by, at most, 6 steps. Well, I'm separated from Trent Reznor, from 9 Inch Nails, by just 1 step, and it was due to a stalker. Back in 2006, I was living in Atlanta, Georgia, and I had just joined a pretty particular punk band, which mixed a very loud sound with cabaret-like visuals. We never made it big, but our act was appealing enough that it got us the attention of many people. One of them was a strange girl who was always chain-smoking, had a weird aura to herself, and who was always wearing a jacket on her shoulders, meaning her arms were not in the sleeves, and who eventually said she wanted to be our manager. She said she was friends with Slash from Guns N' Roses, that she had managed a couple of bands when she used to live in New Orleans and whatnot, so we decided to hear her out. Our band was sort of a crazy one, so drugs passed around freely at our parties. This girl, she told us her name was Christy something, would provide us with party favors sometimes. She would also tell us that she was worth $2 million, that she had 5 cars, that she worked in this luxury building, and that she had a huge house somewhere in the suburbs. See, the thing is, she was always picking cigarette butts from the street and smoking the filters like she was a homeless person. Something about her just didn't click particularly well with me. She always came to see us in some sort of fancy SUV, so we went along with her stories for the most part. Eventually, Christy fell hard for me, told me that she was divorcing her husband and that she wanted to be with me. I was intrigued by her, and so I started testing all of her stories. I asked to visit her at her office, and she would always make excuses as to why I couldn't, until eventually she told me her office had closed down and that they were looking for new space. I asked her why she was using the same car if she had like 5 or whatever she said, and again, excuses and more excuses. I asked to visit her at her huge house, and the same thing. She would come up with off reasons as to why she couldn't have me over, mostly that her husband was still there and whatnot. I started to get sick of all of her excuses and eventually confronted her that she was a big fat liar. She got desperate, started to make more excuses, and I just told her to get lost. She had had a previous fight with some of my bandmates before, so she had already been discarded as our prospective manager. She started calling me every day asking to see me. I would constantly tell her no, until one day she showed up at my house around 5 a.m., apparently wasted. She said she had picked up this guy friend of hers to go to a party, but that he was too drunk and that he was now passed out in her car. and also that she didn't know what to do with him. I looked across the street and saw no one in her car, and she said it was because the guy was laying down. I really couldn't bother going all the way to her car to check it out. She eventually even started crying, and I felt bad enough for her to let her come into my living room. It was at this point that she took off her jacket, and for the first time ever, I realized that she was missing her entire left arm. I was already giddy by her showing up at my house drunk and everything that I didn't dare ask about how it happened. I know this has nothing to do with my story, but it was something that just added to the already weird atmosphere. I hung out with her for a while. At this point, I started doubting that she was actually drunk, and I gave her coffee. I told her to please never show up at my house like that ever again, and eventually told her to just drop the guy off at a Waffle House, and then just go home. It might not have been the most responsible thing to tell someone in that state to drive, but I just wanted the whole thing to be over. And like I said, I felt like she was acting drunk the whole time, and she seemed okay enough to drive. She eventually left, and that was that for the night. Next day, again she started stalking me by my phone, to the point I just stopped picking up. I worked early hours, and she would call me at 2 or 3 a.m. completely drunk. I eventually got sick of it all and told her to stay away from me and never call me again. She complied, and for about a week it seemed like the whole thing was history. Around 6 days later, she calls me again when I was at work. I started telling her that she wasn't supposed to call me, but she said that she could finally invite me to her house, and that she wanted me to come visit her. All sorts of red flags went up for me, so of course I told her to forget about it and just hung up on her. She again started calling me at late hours, to the point I just had to turn off my phone at night. Otherwise, I would never get a good night's sleep. I remember it was a Friday. After waking up, I had a voicemail on my phone, left at around 2 a.m. I checked it out, and it was her saying,
"Hi, Max. I just took 200 pills and, I've been drinking all night. I just wanted to say goodbye, and that I love you. Good luck with the rest of your life."
Okay, so needless to say, I got totally weirded out. I was so sick of her lies, I just deleted the message, completely assuming it was one of her tricks to get me to call her. I decided to forget about it and went to work. So the next Tuesday after that, I get another voicemail from her phone, but this time it was a guy's voice. "Hi Max, this is Christy's husband. I'm calling her friends in her contact list to let them know that she passed away last Friday, and we're doing a memorial for her in downtown Atlanta tomorrow. If you want to go, please call me back so I can give you the address." I can't even explain how I felt at that point. I was shocked, and I tried to evade the news by thinking that this was some guy that Christy had manipulated into calling me, just to get me somewhere at some time, but of course, the whole situation didn't make much sense to me. This guy eventually called another one of my bandmates, whose name was in Christy's contact list as well. I had told my band about this entire situation, so my bandmate, who had been suspicious of this girl for a while, started prying this guy for more information. We eventually learned that she used a fake name with us the entire time, that her real name was Amber, and that she had been using a made-up name because she had been in trouble with the law. We Googled her, and sure enough, turns out she had stalked Trent Reznor in the past and even managed to steal his credit card information. She even was arrested for it. I was stunned at this point, unsure of what to do next. We never went to the memorial. We were way too suspicious to do it. To this day, I still don't know if this girl committed suicide for real or if the whole thing was just a sham to get me into some trouble. But since I never heard from her again, I doubt it. Or maybe she's been using a fake name ever since and decided to move on with her life. I'll never know, but it's definitely the worst way to get 1 degree of separation with someone famous. I got rid of my cell phone after that, and it took me 3 years until I felt okay enough to get a new one. I really never want to go through something like that ever again. So after this story was posted, the people commenting on the story did some research. They found the girl's obituary online and confirmed that she had indeed killed herself. Definitely a very tragic story.
Wow. hold on, let me sit up. Bro, that shit is crazy. So this girl mentioned that she took 200 pills. Bro, how the fuck are you still alive by how are you still alive from taking 200 pills? What? Dude, what? I don't know, man. That shit's crazy. Bro, like how the fuck does anyone how the hell does somebody, you know, how does somebody end up in a situation like that with somebody famous? I mean, I heard of Nine Inch Nails, but I never knew the name of the members. So the guy's name is Trent Reznor. And a funny fact, I actually did look up the link for that story. Yeah, it was something happened. It happened. Yeah, it was actually a true story. Yeah, it happened in 2006 somewhere in Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah, that's crazy, man. Yeah, man. Like, you know, girls. I mean, but then again, you know, I'm not trying to bash anyone, but yeah, just people in general, man. When somebody says leave them alone, you leave them alone. If they don't want you calling them or texting them and blowing up their phone, then leave them alone. That's it. If I don't want you in my life ever again, that's it. You leave me the hell alone. But, you know, people are just fucking, you know, sick and, you know, desperate, I guess. Damn, man. Like, so she fucking killed herself for what? For what? Because, you know, because he didn't want to be with her. That's why. Like, oh yeah, man. People are just super fucked up in the head. Yeah, man. People like that are just so mentally disturbed. So she decided to kill herself because what? Because the guy didn't want to be with her. Yeah, like, you know what's funny? Like, yeah, like at first he wasn't sure, right? I'm pretty sure he didn't like do it like I'm pretty sure he didn't mean to like do it in a hurtful way, but yeah, like the fact that he, you know, deleted the voicemail, you know, because if someone leaves you a voicemail saying they're gonna kill themselves, and yeah, you should always be saving that as evidence to get that person help. But this person, he got like really sick and fed up of this person like terrorizing them and always trying to get their attention and not leave them alone. So this person, it got to a point that this person got super fed up, man, and thought that anything she tells him, it's always a lie. So yeah, man, people are like that. All right, you never know if people are you never know if people actually commit suicide until you either witness it or hear about it. That's it. But anyways, but the point is, if somebody is telling you they're gonna kill themselves, please get them help. Please do. Ah, man. Like, yeah, man, I fucking never want to be in that situation that if I meet a girl and she's fucking extremely desperate to get my attention and not leave me alone and give me space, like, yeah. And she wants to fucking kill herself because of it, then yeah, man, that girl needs to be taken to a fucking mental hospital. What? Damn, man, that shit's crazy. So this girl, man, she was involved in so much shit. Yeah, she fucking, you know, well, she got arrested for fucking stalking a fucking famous band. Yeah, like a fucking person. Yeah, she got in trouble for fucking stalking somebody famous from a rock band or a metal band. I don't know. Yeah, Nine Inch Nails. Like I said, I don't know too much about them, but I heard of the name before. So yeah, man, how the fuck do you get involved and how the hell do you get involved in shit that has to do with like somebody famous? Like how the fuck that happens? Yeah, she you know, they said that she fucking hacked the guy's credit card information and she got arrested for it. I don't know, man. People are just extremely fucked up in the head. So that's all I'm gonna say. So let's move on to the next story.
This just happened to me a few nights ago and I'm still shaken up, so bear with me. I'm a female bartender at a small cafe that doubles as a venue. During the day we serve coffee and lunch, and at night we have a full bar with bands, comedy shows, etc. On this night, there was an open mic comedy show. Not a lot of comedians showed up, so we ended up closing up shop early and I was ready to go home. I had a patron come in and order a single beer during the comedy show. He was acting nervous, but being a female bartender, I get male customers that are shy or don't want to talk to women, so I didn't think much about it. He sat down, sipped his beer, and watched the show. Since we closed early, everyone was pretty much gone, and I wanted to lock up and clean so I could get home. After I escorted the last couple out of the bar and got ready to lock the door, I see the man from earlier walk down the back hallway and into the men's restroom. Not even a minute later, he burst through the door yelling, "Hurry, come back here, I need help." I stood on the opposite end of the hallway and asked him what was wrong. "The toilet is overflowing, there's water all over the floor, help me clean this up." I could tell that something was wrong and I replied, "It's okay, man, it happens, I'll mop it up. I'm just trying to close up right now." He continued to argue with me, trying to get me to come into the bathroom with him as I stood about 20 feet away down the hallway. Finally, he walks towards me very aggressively and tries to grab my arm. "You need to come back here now," he says. I immediately put my hands out in front of me so he can't come any closer and tell him he needs to leave. He walks outside and I lock the door behind him. I check the bathroom and it is completely spotless. No water on the floor at all. I flush the toilet and urinal and they're both working fine. I start to get nervous and I take my large pocket knife and clip it to my waistband of my pants, just in case. As I'm cleaning our espresso machine and putting toppers on the liquor bottles, I hear a tapping noise. I look up at the front of the store, which is one big window that has a few curtains covering it. The same man is tapping on the window, waving at me and laughing like a maniac. I watch him walk over to the door and pull on it. It doesn't open since I had locked it after he left. He starts screaming and pounding on the glass, saying, "Open the fucking door! I'm going to fucking kill you." Fight overcame flight at this point, and I walked around the counter and about 6 feet from the door. I pulled out my knife and locked eyes with him and yelled, "I'm calling the cops, get the fuck out of here." He smiled and walked out of view of the window. At this point, all of my adrenaline just crashed. I locked myself in the office and called 911 crying, explaining that I'm alone and a man tried to lure me into the bathroom and was outside trying to get into my bar. I waited an hour and a half and no police showed up. I called my boyfriend and he drove up to the shop. My manager watched the security cameras from home, making sure that the man didn't come back. I did the deposit and immediately drove home, my boyfriend following close behind me. My male busboy has been coming into work with me so I'm not alone, and the managers have been keeping an eye on the security cameras while I'm working.
First off, if you're doing a night shift if you're doing a night shift, do not work all by yourself. Especially if you're working at a bar. You're working a night shift at a bar all by yourself. Bro, what the hell's wrong with you, bro? Bro. What? Man. If I'm going to be doing a night shift at a bar, bro, nah, man. I need to have like 2 other employees there with me. There has to at least be 3 of us in total. All right? Or 4 of us in total. No fucking way, man. But bro, why was this person working all alone by themselves doing a night shift at a bar, man? Yeah, man, like, you do things like that, shit like that happens. Yeah, it seems to me like this fucking guy, he was fucking either super drunk or he was on something, or he was just fucking super crazy, like every other person is. And he tried to fucking get this person, he tried to lure this person into the bathroom to do God knows what. Yeah, if she would have went into that bathroom, that's it. He probably would have fucking. He probably was gonna fucking rape her and kill her, and that's it. So she did the right thing by not going into that bathroom. If the toilet was really overflowing, then yeah, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. It's my job. Don't worry about it. Get out. It's closing time. That is crazy, man. If you're doing a night shift at a bar, do not work all by yourself. All right. If my manager was making me do that shit, no, I'm like, nope. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be working all alone at a bar, all by myself, doing a night shift at a bar, knowing there's going to be fucking tons of crazy people getting drunk and doing stupid shit. God forbid. Nope, sorry. So, yeah, just be careful out there. Always be aware of your surroundings, because people are just psychotic and twisted. So, yep, that's it. I'll move on to the next story.
When I was 21, I transferred to a college in San Francisco. I checked out a room for rent on Craigslist. It was in a really nice 2-bedroom apartment. It was cheap rent and close to campus, so it was the ideal spot. The girl who lived there was 29 and her name was Beth. She was tall and wide, and she had jet black hair and wore pale makeup. She seemed nice, although a little quiet, but she seemed to like me and agreed to let me move in. So far, so good. My first night there, we went out for pizza, and that's when I could tell that something was a little bit off with her. Throughout dinner, she kept telling me how much I looked like Shia LaBeouf. I didn't know what to say, so I just shrugged it off with a thanks. I mean, I looked nothing like Shia LaBeouf, so it just didn't make any sense to me. When we got back home, she asked if I had seen her room yet. I said no, and she took me to see it. Her walls were covered in posters of Shia LaBeouf. She had even printed out photos of him all over her mirror. She owned all of his movies. I mean, I didn't know what to make of it. It was creepy. The whole night she had been saying I look like him, and now it's obvious to me that she's obsessed with the guy. A few weeks passed, and I never really saw her that much. We didn't spend any time together, really. She would come home from work and practically run to her room. She would spend the whole night in there. She had this really creepy high-pitched giggle, and I would hear her giggling through the walls at night. I wondered what the hell she could possibly be doing. Occasionally, she would come out and talk for like 2 minutes, and then she would always be slurring her words, so I suspected she was drinking a lot. Sometimes she wouldn't say anything, and she would just stand in the hallway and watch me in the living room. I would turn and see her and be surprised and say something like, "Hello, Beth." And then there would be this long, awkward pause, and she would just give out her creepy, high-pitched giggle. It was uncomfortable being around her. She gave me the chills. One night, I woke up at around 2 a.m. because I heard what sounded like the front door being unlocked. I came out of my bedroom, and all the lights were off, but I could still see Beth standing at the front door. She had her face against it, and she was turning the lock back and forth over and over again, and every time she turned the bolt, she mumbled my name.
Max. Max. Max.
Seeing her standing in the dark and mumbling my name really freaked me out, and it doesn't help that she kind of looks like a bigger version of the girl from The Ring. I just quietly went back to my room and tried to sleep. One night, I was watching Gladiator, and she stumbled out of her room and turned on the living room light, forcing me to pause the movie, which was annoying. She then asked me if I wanted to hear about her ex-boyfriend. It was an uneasy segue into the topic, but I just said sure and then awkwardly sat back to listen to her. 10 minutes into her story, and she was extremely riled up. She was screaming at the top of her lungs about their breakup. I was worried that the neighbors were going to call the cops, and she wasn't listening to me when I was asking her to lower the volume. Amidst all of her screaming, one thing she said really freaked me out. She was in such a fit, and she yelled that she'll slit his fucking throat. That was a big game changer. Suddenly, I had no idea what this girl was capable of. I mean, she was practically a stranger, and everything I had seen was becoming alarmingly disturbing. After a few more minutes, she told me thanks for listening and started doing her giggle. I got out of there pretty fast and went to my room to go to sleep. I had a pretty unsettling feeling about being in the house with her. And what's worse is that there was no lock on my bedroom door. I pushed the edge of my dresser in front of it to act as like a little barricade. I woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of my dresser scraping against the floor. Beth was pushing the door open. I turned on my light, shouting at her to stop. I could see her through the opening of the door. She was so drunk and had this insane look in her eyes. I pushed the door closed and yelled at her to go to bed. I could hear her walk back to her room, but I couldn't fall back asleep. The next morning when I went out into the hallway, my heart dropped. I saw that one of her steak knives was on the floor by my door. I got goosebumps all over my arms. All I could think about was her saying she would slit that guy's throat. I confronted her about it, and she said she didn't remember trying to push my door open. She said she didn't even remember telling me about her ex. I had enough. My lease was month to month, so I found a new spot and moved out. About a month after I moved out, she contacted me. I was at the movies and my phone was off. When I got out, I turned my phone on, and to my shock, I received 40 plus text messages that she had sent me over the past 2 hours. They were all just insane texts that ranged from everything between, "Hi, how are you?" to "I fucking hate you." It was insane. I didn't respond, and I never heard from her again. I always wonder, if I hadn't set my dresser in front of my door, would she have quietly crept into my room and slit my throat? It freaks me out.
Oh, hell no, man. Having a psychotic roommate? Fuck that shit, man. You see, now, my advice, if you're going to be roommates, it's better to be roommates with somebody that you actually know. Somebody that's actually been your friend for a couple of years, or a friend that's been your friend since your childhood years. For example, being roommates with a stranger, yeah, man, like, I don't know. I mean, it's funny. At first, I thought that would be nice, because, you guys be friends, you guys go out together and chill and, have fun. But then, like, after a while, I don't know. Once you start to see their true colors, then yeah, you're basically. I mean, at the moment, you will be stuck with them if you're living in the same house with them, or the same apartment. But yeah, man. As soon as the minute you start to see your roommate's true colors, if they're fucking behaving that way, being fucking psychotic, then yeah, man. My advice: you get the fuck out of there immediately before they plan on doing something that you won't be aware of. Crazy ass people, man. So yeah. I guess that's all I gotta say about that story. So, yep, moving on.
I remember working the night shift the other night at a local McDonald's. I had to fill in for my friend Kiara, who called in sick. This night was probably one of the most terrifying nights I have ever worked. It was dead around 11 p.m. and I was asked by the manager to sweep the floors until a customer came in. One customer came in and he looked a bit rough. Bald, long rusty beard, glasses, sandals, and just clothes that had stains on them. I go over to the register and say, "Hi, can I get you anything?" He then said, "Yes, can I have a large coffee, please?" I take his order, give him his coffee, and tell him to have a wonderful night. He smiles. I go to sweep the floor again, and I see the man is sitting a bit close to where I would be sweeping, which is usually under the tables and just around the floor. When I reached his table, he says, "You're very beautiful." I smile and say, "Thank you very much." He says, "Can I give you a ride home when you get off work?" I say no thank you and that I have a ride home. He went from the nice man that I had took the order from to just pure rude. He asks me, "What's your schedule?" I tell him that I'm not allowed to give that information out, sorry. He takes his coffee and goes back outside. The next night after that, Kiara and I worked together with my other guy friend, Jack. I told Kiara about the guy from the night before and she gave me this weird facial expression. Jack comes over to me and says, "Hey, is everything okay?" I tell him about the guy from the night before and he gave me a look of terror. What he said to me ran chills down my spine. "That man called the restaurant earlier and asked about you." Just then, my blood ran cold as I saw the man walk back into the restaurant. Kiara's face went pale and Jack's jaw was dropped. My stomach turned in knots as I said, "Hi, can I get you anything tonight?" He says, "No, but can I take you home?" Jack steps out and says, "No, she ain't going anywhere with you. Get out of here before I call the cops." The manager got pissed off at Jack for leaving his position at the drive-thru window while Kiara was frying burgers. Jack agreed to switch positions with me until the morning crew came in. The manager asked me to take the trash outside, and I nervously said okay. Jack, on the other hand, was pissed that the manager even asked me to do that. Jack was nice enough to take it out for me. I stayed inside while Jack took out the trash. Jack comes back in and pulls me to the janitor's closet and says, "That guy was waiting for you in his truck with 5 other big guys in there." I felt sick to my stomach when he said that. Jack informs the manager, and the manager, like the asshole that she was, says, "He's not gonna hurt anyone. He's harmless. Get back to work." The next morning, me and Jack worked together, and my other coworker Taylor informed me that the man had came back and told her my schedule, and that he'll wait for me to come back in today. Eventually, he came in. Jack, being the good friend that he was, told him to get the hell out of the restaurant and to never come back again or else he would call the cops. Jack lost his job because of this, but to me he was just looking out for me. I cried so hard when Jack lost his job because I know Kiara and I would be working alone without anyone else there to protect us. But I never saw the man again after that. I quit my job at McDonald's and so did Kiara. Me, Jack, and Kiara now live in the same apartment building and work at a grocery store. I don't know what could have happened to me if I took out the trash that night and not Jack.
Oh boy, working at McDonald's and night shift? Damn. Yeah, unfortunately, you will encounter people like that. People that are, once again, sick and twisted, and they just don't know when to leave people alone. Damn, man. Like, yeah, man. All these, like almost all these stories is about people getting harassed. People obsessing over somebody, not leaving them alone. Like, yeah, like half the stories I listened to and reacted to. Yeah, that's mainly what some of them were. That's mainly what most of them was about. Like, yeah, man. Yeah, sure, bro. Don't remind me. I fucking love McDonald's. I love McDonald's so much since I was a kid, and I still do. Yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad I never worked there. Yeah, I should work where I love. Yeah. But damn, fucking people like that. That's crazy. Yo, and you know it's fucked up, man. Cause that boss, yeah, that boss was kind of, like they said, asshole. Like, yeah, man. Like God forbid if something was to happen, the manager. The boss wants to be like, oh, like he's not gonna do anything. He's harmless. Get back to work. Don't worry about it. All right. And God forbid when this fucking man starts fucking, God forbid he comes back in and starts shooting. Just saying as an example. And you want to say you want to be all naive and say he's harmless. He's fucking over here trying to, harass the fucking employee, the cashier. Can I take you home? You're so beautiful. Man, people like that are just fucking, yeah, it's crazy. And damn, the fucking employee got fired because he was trying to protect the other employee. That's fucked up, man. Yeah, they all made the right decision when they all quit. Yeah, when the 2 other girls quit, yeah, they made the right decision. They both quit at the same time. Yep. Yeah. Yep. It's hard to work when you encounter people like that. But then again, like even though I never worked at a fast food restaurant, but like fucking yeah, man. Like no matter where you work, you will always encounter strangers like that. But thank God for me, and it never happened to me. So. Even though I never worked for a fast food restaurant, but I have work doing like delivery, and yeah, thankfully I never encounter people like that. Thank God. Yeah, if anything, I see homeless people come up to me, ask me for change. That's it. I mean, that's just natural stuff, especially if you're in a city. So yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. So. All right, the next story will be the last story. All right, so enjoy.
This story was sent to me around 2 years ago, so the ages and dates mentioned may be inaccurate now. I want to share the most heartbreaking thing I've ever experienced. In a way, I find it therapeutic, and I'm hoping it could save someone else from ever making the same mistake. This is the story of how I lost my sister at the hands of an evil, so-called human being. My name is Claire, and I live in Ireland. My sister Sonia has always been my best friend. 3 years ago, Sonia came over to my place excitedly telling me about a date she had with a new guy at work named Eric. I was happy for her, as she had just broken up with her abusive ex-boyfriend a few months earlier, and was finally starting to enjoy life, as well as being an amazing mother to her little boy. So as the next few weeks passed, Sonia and Eric had gone on a few dates, but it was nothing serious at all. All seemed to be going smoothly, until one night I got a call from Sonia. When I answered the phone, she was very upset. She told me she had been out with Eric and that she went out to have a cigarette, and a few moments later he came out shouting at her, telling her she was taking too long and that she must have been flirting with other guys. He even insulted her and called her a slut. I was shocked, and understandably so was Sonia. She said he just changed into a different person for no reason. She told me she was finished with him because she had already had an abusive relationship and she wasn't going to go down that road again. I agreed that that was the right thing to do. The following day, Sonia was bombarded with text messages from Eric begging for forgiveness and another chance. She told him no way and to leave her alone because she wouldn't accept being spoken to that way. But he wouldn't stop texting her. This went on for days, and Sonia repeatedly told him to leave her alone. One day, while Sonia and Eric were at work, Eric walked out of the job. A while later, he texted Sonia saying that he was in a hotel with a rope and going to hang himself. My sister was a very kind person, so this upset her, and she texted him back to not do it and to get help. That he shouldn't put his family through the pain of losing him. She also called the police because she was worried that he was going to do it. A few hours later, he texted her back saying he couldn't do it and that he just needed to see her. She told him that she didn't want to meet up, but that he should get help. A few days later, Eric came back into work. Sonia told me that he kept staring over at her and that it was freaking her out. When she got home from work, Eric texted her that there was a rumor going around work that he was stalking her. She replied that she hadn't heard the rumor, but told him that he was freaking her out, always staring over at her. Eric's behavior had Sonia so stressed out that she wasn't able to eat or sleep. Sonia told me she was going to ask to change shifts because of how uncomfortable he made her. Over the next few days, Eric's texts became non-stop, telling Sonia that he needed to be with her and that she was cold-hearted for not being with him. She told him to just leave her alone and move on, and that it wasn't normal that he was acting this way after only a few dates, and then she blocked him from Facebook and from her phone. We both thought that that would be the end of that, but we were so wrong. During the next 2 weeks, a guy called Shane had added Sonia on Facebook. Their conversation started off as friendly, but soon became flirty. She seemed to like Shane, and after a lot of messaging, he asked to meet up with her. Sonia had doubts about meeting up, but after a while she gave in and agreed to meet Shane in a hotel. Please don't judge my sister. She was a good person, and all adults do this stuff at some point. I know meeting at a hotel was a bad decision for her to make, but this was very out of character for her, and nothing can ever change what happened now. On the 15th of February 2014, it was Sonia's son's 3rd birthday. We were all going to a play center to have a little party for him, and Sonia was going to meet Shane later that night while her son was at a sleepover in our mother's house. The day went great, and we all had fun. So that night, around 9 p.m., Sonia checked into the hotel room where she was going to be meeting Shane. He said he would arrive a little later as he had a few things to do, so Sonia just chilled in the hotel room texting me. The last text I received from her was at 11:40 p.m. The next morning at 11 a.m., my mother called me asking if I had heard from Sonia because she was supposed to collect her son, but she couldn't get a reply when she called or texted her. I tried to call her, but there was no answer. This was very unusual for Sonia because she was always in touch with us. Especially if her son was over, she would call to see how he was. Hours passed and I thought she was just asleep because she may have had a late night or maybe even a few drinks. Nothing could have prepared me for what happened next. My mother and I were sitting drinking tea together at around 4 p.m. when there was a knock at the door. "That must be Sonia," I said, and we answered the door. 2 policemen greeted us at the door, and immediately my stomach sank. They asked if they could come in, and of course we let them in. They told us that Sonia's body had been found dead on the hotel room floor, that she had been strangled to death. My mother and I sobbed uncontrollably. We just couldn't believe what we were hearing. My beautiful sister couldn't be dead. There was no way. We went to the hotel with the police, and to our absolute horror, it was true. Sonia was dead. The next few hours for me were just a blur. Later that night, a man handed himself into police and admitted he had killed Sonia. It was fucking Eric. There never was a Shane. It was Eric the whole time. He had set up a fake Facebook page so he could lure Sonia to the hotel and murder her. He gave my gorgeous sister a horrifically brutal death, and we soon found out that he had sexually assaulted her too. Eric sexually assaulted Sonia and then he beat her up. She tried to fight back, so he strangled her. First, he tried to do it with her phone charger, but when that wasn't working, he used his hands to strangle her. And he also shoved her top inside her mouth with such force that it broke her teeth and dislodged her retainer. This was to silence her, according to him. It took 3 years for the trial to begin. The sick bastard pleaded not guilty and claimed he was suffering from a mental illness. This made me absolutely sick. He premeditated her murder, there's no question about that. For 2 weeks, my family and I had to sit in court listening to the details of the horrific death Sonia had suffered. We were told now Sonia panicked and said, "Eric, what are you doing?" when he began to strangle her. We were told about how there were broken bones in Sonia's neck from the force Eric used while strangling her. And we got to see photos of Eric's face after he murdered her. He was covered in cuts and scratch marks from Sonia desperately trying to fight for her life. We were also told that there were severe injuries to her private parts from when he assaulted her. Hearing all of this completely broke me. But thank God Eric was found guilty of Sonia's murder. On Friday the 26th of May, 2017, Eric was sentenced to life in prison for murdering my sister. I am so glad he was convicted for making my amazing sister suffer such a horrific death, and for leaving her son without a mother. I am now raising Sonia's son with my own children. After Sonia was murdered, he sobbed for her every night. He didn't understand why his mother was gone, even when we told him God needed her in heaven to be an angel. He still cried constantly because he wanted her so badly. We ended up hiring a child psychologist to explain to him why he would never see his mother again. She told him that a bold man had hurt his mommy and she was safe in heaven now. After that, he was worried that the bold man would hurt him too, but we told him he was in jail now and he could never hurt anyone ever again. Sonia's son is 6 now, and I always tell him about his mother and how much she loved him. I would just like to warn everyone about the dangers of social media. Please be careful and don't meet anyone in hotels. If you're going to meet someone from social media, at least do it in a public place. This error in judgment cost Sonia her life. She was an amazing woman and she didn't deserve the horrific death she got. Here is a photo of Sonia, taken on the day she was murdered. I just want everyone to see the beautiful woman that scumbag stole from mine and my family's lives. I've blocked out her son's face for obvious reasons. The grief I feel from losing my sister is so overwhelming. Even years later, I'm just hoping one day it gets easier to cope with the pain.
Okay, and that was all the stories that I listened to, and I'm gonna react to this last one. Damn, man. That story was extremely heartbreaking. I mean, at the same time, it was creepy, but, you know, I don't know. To me, I probably would say that story was more heartbreaking than creepy. I mean, you know, Well, the creepy thing is, yeah, man, who the fuck would know that, you know, your ex-boyfriend is fucking setting up a fake Facebook profile to fucking lure you and trap you. Yeah, this guy has serious mental issues. Yeah, he said he said that he's not, you know, he pleaded not guilty, and he claimed he was suffering from a mental illness. Nah, I mean, you know, obviously, yeah, he did have a lot of problems, and it seems to me like he was very, how do I say it, controlling and, you know, just twisted. That's all I could really describe this guy. This guy named Eric. Oh man, but why, man? Like, why you gotta fucking murder, you know, murder somebody's mom? All right, you know, this girl has a little baby boy, has a little kid, and you're gonna fucking take her life. Like, you know, it's like, fuck it, it's all about me. Like, I'm doing what I want to do. I don't give a shit about her life. It's all about me. People like that, people like that deserve to fucking, you know, I'm not the kind of people that wish bad on people, but the fact that this person fucking took the life of an innocent woman, and leaving her son without a mother, that people like that deserve to fucking rot in prison and get beat the fuck out of, and, you know, yeah. Oh man, so yeah, man, just be very careful out there. You know, funny fact, yeah, man. Like, you know, a couple of months ago, I did meet somebody, a friend of mine on social media. It was actually my first time meeting them. Right? Yeah, this was when I was still living in New York. So funny fact, yeah, like I actually did meet them. I met them at a public place. Yeah, we met at Times Square. You know, that's in Manhattan, in New York City. Yeah, that's actually a good place to meet somebody. You know, meet somebody for the first, especially if you're meeting them for the first time. Yeah, you know, it's a public place. There's a lot of people walking around. Yeah, that's the best way you meet somebody, especially if you're meeting them for the first time. But meeting them at a hotel room, no. Sorry, that right there is a big no. I mean, listen, I'm not one to judge, but, you know, yeah, you know, it was a bad decision for her to make, but, you know, like, it, you know, it's crazy, man. You know, it's crazy, but, you know, she did make a mistake. She made a terrible mistake. You know, I'm not saying she's a bad person for doing that, but, you know, she you know, again, I'm not trying to judge, but, you know, I guess in a way she was naive, if she did believe, you know, the person was who they say they were, you know, but really it was her psychotic ex-boyfriend, you know, fucking, you know, making fake profiles to lure her. So yeah, so wait a minute. So, like, yeah, he made her, yeah, so he lured her into the hotel room. And as soon as he saw her, he started physically attacking her. Is that what happened? And that's why she started fighting back, and, you know, he fucking went all out and fucking strangled her and killed her. Oh man, people like that are extremely fucking psychotic. I'm not even gonna say mental, just psychotic, man. Just fucking psychotic. Damn, man, like, damn, like, damn, like, you know, the way they said it, like, yeah, like, they said that he strangled her, and he fucking used all his force on her neck, and broke the bones inside of her neck because of all the strength he was using. Like, damn, bro, is this fucking guy muscular or something? Like, what the fuck is he? What is he, fucking Brock Lesnar or something? Super muscular? He has all that strength to be doing that? Yeah, man, fucking Eric. So to me, that sounds like a fucking nerdy ass name. Yeah, that sounds like a nerd name, Eric. Yeah, I can imagine, like the like, you know, I could imagine that this Eric guy, he was fucking super nerdy, and fucking, you know, he was like very skinny, you know, just by his name. But nope, it turns out he was the opposite. He was just another desperate freak that just doesn't know when to chill the fuck out. You know, very desperate, very controlling, and man, yeah, I really don't know what else to say. But be very careful out there. You know, that's right. If you're gonna meet somebody from social media, do it in a public place, not inside a hotel room. Seriously. Unless you're asking for unless you're hoping for a death wish, then that's on you. But yeah, so that's all I gotta say as of right now. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Hopefully this video is not over 60 minutes. Hopefully I can put this all in one video. I don't have to trim it like I did with the other one and make a part 1 and part 2 like I did on my second channel. Yeah, like I said, the link will be in the description. So yeah, I decided to do this. You know, why not? Just for fun, I guess. And I don't got anything else better to do. So it is what it is. And I don't know why, but I always had a thing for listening to those kind of stories. You know, scary stories, horror stories. You know, a couple of years ago, I used to watch like this other YouTube channel name. His name is Mr. Nightmare. Yeah, like him and Corpse Husband have always been my all-time favorite YouTubers. In terms of talking about, telling scary stories, horror stories. Yeah, Corpse Husband and Mr. Nightmare. They were always my favorite. Yeah, maybe I might do a video and listen to Mr. Nightmare stories. Yeah, his channel is still active to this day. He's always uploading videos like every now and then. Where Corpse, I haven't seen him upload a horror story in 3 years. I don't know what happened to him. Hopefully he'll surprise us and make a comeback. I don't know. So maybe he's on some other stuff now. I know he was making music at one point, but I don't know what he's doing now. So yeah, just hang in there. So all right, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Peace.